Yesterday, I made a response video to the entire PlayStation community, saying that they were overhyping the PlayStation 5 Pro. You see, what they were saying is that the PlayStation 5 can make the blind see, it can make the crippled walk, and it makes your food taste better, it makes you look better. This is what the PlayStation community was saying. They were saying this thing has so much flip-flops that this thing needs about 55 feet to put these flip-flops on. And I was simply saying, here what guys, don't let this marketing ploy, don't let the 33.5 flip-flops fool you, because it is the same CPU that is being used. I said it's the same CPU being used from the PlayStation 5. You guys are not going to get it, so I'm not even going to bother. I was simply saying that because the PlayStation 5 Pro has the same CPU as the PlayStation 5, that it will have a bottleneck because of the CPU. Although there's an increase in teraflops, the CPU is what would hold it back from using all those teraflops. Right, that's all I was saying. But persons in the comments said, I don't know what I'm talking about. I have no idea. I'm not technical. Well, if I don't know what I'm talking about, maybe this guy will tell you exactly what I said.
The upshot of this is, as Alex said, is that the games that are targeting 30 FPS are not going to be targeting 60 frames per second on PlayStation 5 Pro if they're CPU limited. So, all of the sort of conjectures that, hey, this is going to be a great box for Grand Theft Auto 6, we'll be able to run that at 60 frames per second, unless there's some magical CPU stuff being done by Rockstar. I suggest that's not going to happen. Extra 10% on clocks isn't really going to do much at all. It will help your sort of worst possible frame rates when you're CPU limited, but it's not a game changer. I think that's pretty clear.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So believe it or not, exactly what I said is what the specialists there at Digital Foundry said, that because of the CPU, what PlayStation would have to rely on is their software, that PSSR. That PSSR would have to upscale the image and the frame rate to 60 and maybe 4K. They will not be getting that native with that CPU.
If we go back to the PlayStation 4 Pro, the main issue with it in terms of being a meaningful upgrade across the board was its CPU, right? It was basically the same CPU that was within the base PlayStation 4, though it did have a clock speed enhancement. Now this basically limited what the machine was capable of in terms of high frame rate gameplay, and obviously there wouldn't be any game-changing enhancements that involved physics, for example. Now we're looking at the specifications for the PlayStation 5 Pro, and it looks much the same playbook actually. The CPU is the same Zen 2 cluster that we saw in the PlayStation 5, and it actually has two modes. We can confirm this. Basically there's a standard mode where the CPU clocks to a maximum of 3.5 gigahertz, and then there's an enhanced mode.
Yes, PlayStation is doing the same playbook what they did with the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 4 Pro. That is very clear. So in other words, what he's trying to say is that, you guys need to take it down a little bit, because this is not going to be so significant that, it's going to make a major difference.
This enhanced mode essentially adds 10% to core frequency, giving us a maximum of 3.85 gigahertz. And because the new PlayStation 5 Pro, similar to the standard PlayStation 5, seems to operate with a fixed power cap, this means that there is some degradation to GPU performance. They're looking at an impact of 1.5% to clocks and 1% to GPU performance.
So Sony fans, your move. Do you believe what Digital Foundry is saying? I mean, you guys quote them a lot. Do you guys believe them, or are they capping? Is the PlayStation 5 Pro going to be the world's most powerful console, being able to leap a skyscraper with a single bound, stronger than 20 men? Being able to stop a speeding bullet? The PlayStation 5 Pro. Wow! Let me know in the comment sections below. But today we are not going to talk about none of that. Today what we are going to talk about is how one particular game is not doing too well on PC. And we are going to also talk about how Sony is regretting a certain move. We're going to talk about all that and more in today's video. So you know what? Let's get it!
This is a sickness!
Let's get it! Today, before we start the video, if you would like to support the Let's Get It podcast, all the information would be in the description. In addition to that, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Now let's get back to the video. Today we are introducing a brand new segment that I like to call
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So what's the first thing we don't have time to talk about today? Well, there are some big games coming into Game Pass very, very soon. Look at this list, guys. F1 23 Racing, the Corey, Mind Control Delete. So okay, some big games. But some of the biggest games here is Diablo, Ark Survival Ascension, and Evil West. This is without a doubt value for your money. So this is what most fans could look forward to in the coming future coming into Game Pass. But we don't have time to talk about all of the great value ones are going to get in Game Pass, because we have to talk about how the brand new Fallout TV show trailer is having a positive effect on the actual game. Because look at this, we are seeing that Fallout 4 sees a 33% increase in Xbox players and re-enters the top 40 following Amazon's latest Fallout TV show trailer. Yes, so this is something that Nintendo would have known long time when it is you have a game like Super Smash Brothers. It advertises your game and it increases sales for whatever character that you are featuring, and that is the same effect we are having here with Fallout and the Fallout series on Xbox. So this is great news. We can talk about how Microsoft is making some really smart moves by greenlighting all of these things, but we don't have time to talk about that because we have to talk about how Koei Tecmo hopes to sell 5 million copies of The Rise of Ronin, although it is coming out the same time with Dragon's Dogma.
Don't follow me at all. Don't follow Satan, follow God.
So that's the end of...
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Now let's talk about the meat and potatoes of the video. Not too long ago, Sony decided to port all their AAA first-party games to PC. Yes, they would have done that with Spider-Man, they would have done that with God of War, they would have done that with almost all of their first-party AAA games. And they would have done that with, of course, Horizon Forbidden West. Now, one would expect, being a high-quality AAA game from Sony, for this game to do well. Well, let's look and see what one Reddit user found out about Horizon Forbidden West on PC. Look at this. According to this user on Reddit, Horizon Forbidden West failed to crack the top 40 on Steam sales charts last week. Now this is very interesting because this is, after all, one of Sony's biggest games. This is Horizon Forbidden West. This is not a small franchise. I mean, this is what Sony have been pushing for years. So one would think that, the IP have some sort of notoriety. One would think that, the IP would generate, a okay user base on Steam, on PC, but it seems not. However, you know what? We decided to check and see what is it really true that it didn't crack the top 40. And when we investigate, look at this. We found Horizon Forbidden West at number 58. How could this PlayStation exclusive, this major IP, do so bad on PC? Well, one thought I'm thinking is that I remember hearing talks that there are some PlayStation fans who want the ports on PC to fail. They are actually rooting that all Sony ports on PC fail. And their reasoning behind it is that these games should not be on PC, it should be exclusive to the console. But these guys are not thinking. The reason why Sony has put all their first party games on PC is because they need the money, they need the revenue. Right now revenue is down. So by they wishing that this fails, they are actually wishing that Sony fails. So they are not thinking, I don't know why they are not supporting this game on PC. Only Steam and Sony knows why. But let me hear what you think about this. Do you think that Horizon Forbidden West should do better on PC, or do you think this was a given? No one is playing that game. Let me know that in the comment sections below. Next up, let's talk about Sony and Bungie. I recall when Sony bought Bungie, the fans were celebrating that this is the best move that Sony ever did, to purchase a studio that Microsoft once owned. That was surely a rub in the face or a smack in the face to anybody who loved Halo back in the day and Bungie. But most of the gamers were saying this was a stupid move. This was a reactive move by Sony because Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard. And now exactly what the Xbox community was saying, that Bungie was not worth $3 billion. Exactly that is what we are seeing happening. Now Sony is regretting buying Bungie. Listen to this article, and while the article is playing, we will be having our commentary in the article. Listen.
Sony isn't happy with Bungie. PlayStation boss wants more accountability from the studio on money and deadlines. SAI chairman Hiroki Totoki said during the company's recent earnings call that everyone needs to get onto the same page. In a Q&A session with analysts following Sony's most recent financial report, PlayStation chairman Hiroki Totoki praised the creativity of Destiny 2 studio Bungie, but also said he wants to see more accountability for development budgets and schedules from the studio's leadership.
So it's very clear that the new interim president for Sony, Totoki, is not playing. He wants to see, something return for making that purchase that Jim Ryan did. Jim Ryan would have made this deal to Bungie, giving them $3 billion, and guess what? They don't even have complete and full ownership of Bungie. What a stupid deal! And Totoki is basically saying that Jim Ryan made an absolutely idiotic deal. Listen on.
Sony announced the acquisition of Bungie in January 2022, a blockbuster deal seen in some ways as a counterpunch to Microsoft's takeover of Activision Blizzard, and an opportunity to add more live service game know-how to the roster of PlayStation studios. It said at the time that Bungie would operate as an independent subsidiary, with the freedom to remain multi-platform and self-publish and reach players wherever they choose to play. Bungie, in turn, said Sony unconditionally supports us in all we are, as it begins our journey to become a global multimedia entertainment company. Business as usual, in other words. But just 2 years later, that relationship is showing signs of potential strain. A December 2023 report said Destiny 2 player numbers had declined dramatically, while revenues were said to be running 45% below projections. Morale at the studio was also said to be in bad shape following layoffs in October. Bungie was also reportedly facing the possibility of a full takeover by Sony, ending its functional independence. Totoki's comments aren't likely to quell those concerns. He began by addressing the situation at Sony Interactive Entertainment in general, saying employees have a solid understanding of their individual roles and responsibilities, but don't necessarily understand how their respective efforts tie into overall growth, sustainable profit generation, and higher margins.
The question is, if Totoki is seeing all of this now, what Jim Ryan was doing when he was, in control? What was Jim Ryan doing when he, was there to educate the workers about how they can, become as profitable as possible? This is why I know that based on everything that is coming out, Jim Ryan had to be let go.
By providing everyone involved with highly transparent description of the company and industry conditions, as well as of analyst views, I would like to encourage them to come to their own realizations, Totoki said. This will get everyone in the business onto the same page. Then, I would like them to consider what we need to do to work toward our major objectives. Then he moved on to Bungie specifically. I visited the Bungie studios and had meetings with the management, and I saw that employees working at the studios were highly motivated, showing great creativity as well as an impressive knowledge of live services, he said. However, I also felt that there was room for improvement from a business perspective with regard to areas such as the use of business expenses and assuming accountability for development timelines. I hope to continue the dialogue and come up with some good solutions. Totoki, who stepped in as chairman of Sony Interactive Entertainment in October 2023 and will assume the role of interim CEO in April 2024 following the retirement of longtime president and CEO Jim Ryan, may have different ideas about how Bungie should be run than his predecessor. But irrespective of the shifts that inevitably follow a changing of the guard, his impatience is understandable. Bungie blew a lot of gamer goodwill with its mishandling of layoffs, and then just a month later delayed the big Destiny 2 expansion The Final Shape from February to June 2024, pushing into Sony's next financial year. There may be a lot riding on it. According to the December report on Bungie, employees expect that even more layoffs will occur if The Final Shape doesn't do well. Meanwhile, against that backdrop, the remaining players are enduring a massively extended season with content thin on the ground, at the same time as Helldivers 2 offers an alternate path to shooting aliens in space with your buddies. Still, at least Mr. Totoki can console himself with the fact that that's also a Sony game.
So yes, Totoki is not impressed by the way Bungie is spending money, the way how they are not adhering to the deadlines that Sony would have set for them, or even higher management would have set for them. So because of that, right now Sony is not pleased with Bungie. How things will develop eventually, we'll have to wait and see. But we could safely say, since Bungie was bought by Sony, things has not been going well for both Bungie and Sony when it comes to that. But let me know what you think about everything that was said today. Let me know what you think about the new segment, and let me also know what are you excited to play this month. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.